Hi, welcome everyone. It's Chris Petri. Thanks again for coming by. We're having another wonderful tutorial here. We're doing a really interesting kind of spin-off of watercolor, ink and wash. So I always mention if you're painting watercolors, it's always a great time to think outside the box a little bit. Sometimes we get burned out a little bit with watercolors. We get tired. We maybe get a little bored. No problem. It's okay. I tend to think that I'm probably someone that probably had attention deficit disorder when I was younger. I was always bouncing around doing different things. I like to always try to learn new things, and I always enjoyed different kinds of music. And, so if you're someone that likes to stick with one routine, that's fine. Then maybe this is really not a perfect video for you, but this is fun just to watch, to kind of learn some techniques, some new techniques in watercolor. But again, if you like to change things around a little bit, sometimes you get bored a little bit with the same old routine with watercolors. This is sort of like a little spin-off of watercolors. You're doing the pencil drawings first, which we always do on my channel, you'll notice. Then after we're done with our pencil drawing, then we're going to go over with ink. And we have our ink pens here, our bamboo pens, ink pens. We use some Sumi ink over the top of our pencil lines. Once we've drawn our pencil lines in, we let that dry 100%, and then we just have a great time splashing and painting some really beautiful watercolor onto the painting with our mop brush, which is really a beautiful brush. It holds tons of water and paint, so you can really put a lot of paint on there, splash, do some really creative ideas with it. If this is something you'd like to try, I'm hoping you will join us for the next hour, 45 minutes to an hour. We're going to cover everything you need to know, all the details of how to get this beautiful ink and wash completed. And it's not difficult at all. It's really actually fun and enjoyable. So let's get started. I'll, again, cover everything, all the details, the methods, the techniques that we're going to use. And it's really basically most of what you've already learned here on my channel over the weeks, months, and years. And thank you again. If this is your first time watching, I really appreciate that you're coming by, having confidence in me to show you all about watercolors, watercolor painting. And again, we do all kinds of videos on watercolors. It's just not just spin-offs like this of ink and wash. We're doing all your standard beautiful watercolor repertoire, which is your landscapes, seascapes, boats, flowers, still life, portraits, figure painting. We do all of that here. So you're always going to get a good mix of beautiful watercolor, classic style teaching. And then again, we're going to do some spin-offs though once in a while, because I want you to make sure if you are getting a little tired or a little bored of watercolor, don't stop and put down the brushes and pencils and pens. Grab a new little bit of ideas. Maybe you just have to purchase like a new brush and a little bit of ink, and you're off and running. You're going to have a great time creating some ink and washes, and you can take this any way you want, any kind of subject matter. I'm just happening to use some wine glasses and a bottle and a mason jar, but whatever you want to use in place of this, you can do that as well too. You can do it in a landscape format, anything you like. It's up to you. You're the artist. You'll figure it out and do what you kind of feel is going to help you to kind of get excited and keep pressing on with the watercolor journey. It's a fun journey. We keep sticking to it week after week, month after month, and year after year. So let's get started now with our pencil drawing, and we'll just kind of show you how we start everything out with our layout, making sure we have a mat that's going to fit our painting correctly, so that when you're done with your beautiful composition, it's probably going to be a great painting you can frame and paint. So you might as well start from the beginning with your mat. Make sure you have everything laid out correctly, and then you can frame this when you're done. You might have a beautiful painting right ahead of you that you're going to put on your wall, frame it, have a wonderful time, give it as a gift, bring it into work, put it on the wall, in your cube, whatever it is. We'll lift off the mat there, and you'll see that's just the paper, and we made sure we had our pencil lines all set up on our paper so that you would have everything laid out from the beginning correctly to start with, and then we'll go right through the video and you'll see how fun it is. Okay, we'll be right back and we'll get started. All right, so we're getting started, and we just saw the finished painting, so that's always great. I always like to put that finished painting on first so you kind of see what our project's going to look like as we're working on another tutorial here. And I'm really happy that we're together again doing some painting and drawing, and kind of trying to stretch out our legs, so to speak, as far as our art goes. sometimes I know myself, I used to get into like a little bit of a dry spell when I was actually painting in watercolor all the time, and I started seeking out other videos to watch to kind of see what other artists might be doing. And some artists were watercolor artists, but they also did ink and wash type paintings and things like this. So I started looking on YouTube for other information about it. And so this is just, we're going to kind of do a little bit of an offshoot, but it's still watercolor. So we're doing watercolor painting, except we're just going to do a little bit of a change to it. We're putting a spin on it. We're going to do some drawing and some contour drawing and sketching with pencil, which we're going to use here. And then we're going to, of course, you saw in the beginning the ink drawing that we're going to use first. So we'll do our preliminary sketch and our pencil drawing with our pencil as we normally do with watercolor. And then all we're going to do is shift, and we're going to grab some ink and a bamboo pen, and we're going to do some drawing with our ink, with our Sumi ink. So we'll show you our Sumi ink in just a few minutes or so. But the first thing we want to do is we want to draw these beautiful glass bottles, and we have some wine glasses, we have a couple beer glasses, we have a mason jar, and again a beer bottle. So we have some really cool, interesting shapes there for some interesting subject matter to draw. You can grab anything. You can have so much fun with the artistic side of creativity with your art. So you can grab any kind of things around the house that you can imagine. You can, grab outdoor things like flowers, fruits from the gardens, vegetables. You can go through any type of your pantry, your plates, saucers, mugs, cups, silverware. You can go through any, you can find whatever you like to draw and paint, just draw that and paint that, have fun. Maybe try a little bit of everything until you kind of find your favorite things. You can maybe have some fun hobby type stuff. Maybe you're going to take out some snow skis and snow boots, or maybe you're going to grab a fishing rod or some fishing tackle. It's endless. Just anything you have around, you try to maybe incorporate that into your drawing. And also, too, again, we're doing this ink and wash, which is really cool. Ink and wash is so much fun because you're practicing your drawing skills like 3 times. You're doing a contour drawing, you're doing your preliminary sketch, and then you're doing your ink and wash drawing over that. And then you do a little bit of washes on top with your watercolor washes, which we're going to show you in a second, too. So let's keep going here forward. So I just want to, again, show you this is the photograph of what's right in front of me. I have my table set up across from me with my still life, and I have a little backboard there, a little small foam board behind this, just so I can kind of isolate it. And there's a tablecloth on there. We're not really going to do anything with that. That might be for future, but right now we're just going to kind of keep it real basic and just do these shapes of the bottles, the glasses, the mason jar, and we'll see how it turns out. But I think it's going to be wonderful. We're going to have a lot of fun. So what I'll do is I'll take this now and I'll zoom on back like so. So now you're seeing the watercolor paper and our mat that we have, and then also too our foam. We're going to slide this over that way for just a second. What we'll do is we'll just make sure we're using a mat first, and that we place our 4 dots on the inside of our mat. So remember, we're talking about when we're doing our watercolors, let's be ahead of the game. Chances are when you're doing your watercolor practice, your compositions, your fun, your paintings, whatever things you're working on with watercolor, and of course with this exercise we're doing ink and wash, you're always going to have a great one turn out once in a while. So that's when you want to always be prepared for that. So, let's not just start drawing on our paper and painting on our paper and not realize that we need to have a mat ready, and we take our 4 points, the 4 corners of that, like that, and we make a little tiny dot, just so you can see it. At home, I want you to see what I'm doing here, so I'm making them a little bit darker, but you don't need to make these dots darker. You just have to make them so you can see them at home. Then you lift up your mat, and then you say, okay, those 4 dots represent the inside of this window, and you have to have your painting a little bit larger than that so that you have room to move your mat around if you want to adjust it. And this is, of course, an 11 by 14. So that would be an 11 by 14 frame, and then a 7.5 by 9.5 window. So the window's 7.5 by 9.5, like this, 7.5 by 9.5 window opening. But the actual frame size and the actual outside of the mat is actually 11 by 14. So if you pick out a frame and you say, I see a couple nice frames I like, you pick up 11 by 14 frame, then you just got to have your 11 by 14 mat, and you're all set. And then you just set that on top, make your 4 dots, and then you just know now when we go to set up this composition, all we have to do is make sure we're larger than those 4 dots. So I always usually go about 1 inch beyond. So you can just take a ruler and go 1 inch out like that and make a mark there like a dot, and then go another inch this way out and make a dot there. And do the same thing over here, 1 inch, and make another inch over here out further. You can do a half inch. Half inch is probably fine. I go a little extra here, 1 inch here, and I'll be mindful of that when I'm creating the drawing and the painting. Same thing here, I just go 1 inch out in both directions, down and out to the side, like that. So now we know we have that larger area that we're going to have to work with, so it gives us some freedom to move our mat around and find that perfect spot we like. And then really, that's about it. You just have to remember to, we'll take our tape, we'll zoom out this way a little bit more. So now we have to, we're going to have to make sure we can see everything pretty well on the camera here. So maybe what we'll do is we'll draw this in pencil first, and then ink and wash. Then we'll do the painting, and we'll change our setup at that point a little bit more. So I think actually we should have this like so. So we just have to make sure we can see everything. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Next thing I'm going to do is tape. First, let me tape the paper. So let's get the paper taped on the outer larger size there. So we'll go across there like so. And again, we're putting our tape down on the further marks out. So we have, again, extra room just in case we want to move that mat around. We have more painting than we need, actually. That's the key. Does that make sense? We want to give ourselves a little bit of play because if we just paint right to the exact lines of that mat, and then for some reason something happens and we don't have enough room, we can't adjust it at all. So you want room for adjustment at all times if you can. And then there we go. So now we have the tape down on the paper, so that's perfect. Then we're going to take this. We're going to make sure that our photograph here on the phone, you can see that at home. So I'm going to go over this way. We have plenty of room there. And I think that should be good. I'm hoping you can see that pretty well. I'll make everything straight as possible. There we go. And then I'll just kind of put the tape onto my working table so that it stays still and doesn't move around on me as we're drawing and painting. And I think this should be fine. I might need a couple more pieces of tape just to double up on a little bit of extra tape, just so we don't, again, the paper doesn't slide or move around on us. You want to have everything really secure on your working surface, whatever you use. Maybe you use your lap and you work on your lap with like a board. Maybe you work on a kitchen table. Maybe you work on an easel. I know all of you use all kinds of different kind of setups at home. I'd really be cool to go and visit each one of you and see how you paint and all the kind of setups you have. Be fun to do that, except it'd be a lot of traveling and very expensive to do that. So, you know, if you ever want to, though, if you ever want to share comments in the comment section and say, hey, this is what I use for my setup, that'd be interesting. A lot of people probably in the comment section, you probably would like to know, how is everybody working? Are you working on a kitchen table? Are you in an easy chair with like a board? Are you working on a stack tray? Do you have a easel set up in your house, your studio, your basement, your living room, your attic? All kinds of cool stuff. I hope everyone will share that if you want to at some point. Maybe you'll have a fun thing too, or maybe if some of you send some photographs on my email. You can find my email easily at my website, chrispetri.com. If you send me an email with a picture or photograph of your setup, of how you set up your easel, or your if you have like a kitchen table set up, or if you're sitting in an easy chair with a board, Or if you just want to share in the comment section, maybe that's just easier. Don't even worry about doing anything else. Maybe just share in the comment section, hey, everybody, this is what I use. This is really works great for me. And then you share it. And if some of you want to see more of my setups, I think I've shared some of my setups already of what I do here on my channel. So you've seen my studio setup here and my table. And I think I've shown my actual outdoor gear. So I've kind of shown, we did like the show and tell. Let's have show and tell. Or if you want, you just, again, comment section is a great place if you want to share your ideas, because they're great. Some people might hear your idea and go, oh, I need to switch to that person's idea of how they work, because I'd rather work the way that person's working. I kind of find I'm not really having a great time working with the way I'm working with my maybe I have an easel. Maybe you have an easel and you're like, this is too much, takes up too much space. Maybe I can work on a kitchen table, or maybe I can work in my lap with like a board or something. So it's great to share in the comment sections. Again, I don't mean to make more work for you at all, but if you want to, it's just feel free if you want to do it. If you want to leave some comments in the comment section of what you use, then everyone can just go into the comment sections and check it out and see what everyone else is using for, their setups, for their painting, their drawing, their painting, and so forth. Just an idea. I hope you'll maybe think about it and maybe try that. All right, so we have our everything's all set up. Our photograph we have here to work from. I'm going to work maybe from the photograph. Maybe I'll work from across the way, because I have this set up right here exactly, right across from my table. I might work from that. I'm going to try to work actually across from me, the actual real still life across from me. But I'm hoping you'll look at this photograph here and you can work from that. Or you can work from my finished painting. That works too. All right, so we have everything ready. My pencil's ready to go. And let's get started sketching. I'll just take a quick 5 minutes and I'll be right back. Okay, we are ready to do some preliminary sketching first, and then our contour drawing. And you probably always hear me say this on my channel. A lot of times, many of you that have been watching for a long time, you'll always know I try to always do a preliminary sketch first, just to kind of make sure that I'm kind of in the ballpark of where I need to be. So what I'll do is I'll make I'm going to do this. I'm going to make just a pencil line around the whole rectangle like that. Then what I'd like to do is sort of figure out, okay, I'm going to start maybe here, start here with the mason jar, and then work my way around this way in the picture. Or maybe I'll start with the Corona bottle here. We have a nice beer bottle. I'm trying to think of where I want to start. I think since it's a preliminary sketch, you feel free to start wherever you want to kind of start getting the feel for things. But if we look at this rectangle right here, we can kind of see the whole rectangle is filled with the bottles and the glasses and the mason jar. So let's do that. Let's make sure we fill in our whole area here. So maybe I'll start out with the mason jar here. And again, that's why we start out with the preliminary sketch. I'm going to do it super light. I don't know if you can see this, but I'm going to try doing this really, really light. And I'm just going to go in like this. And I'm not going to get super detailed, okay? I am not going to get into all these wild details of everything. I just want to kind of get a general shape of things. And the reason I do this is because we're doing this in ink and wash. And ink and wash is a real free, loose, fun style that you're going to learn about. And it's really great. So all of a sudden here now I see that this beer glass behind here is coming in and going like that. And that is like so, the beer glass. And then it comes in like this and it comes out like this. Wonderful shapes to that. And then we come out here, and that's the bottom of the glass there. Then we have a wine glass behind this beer glass. So let's come over here, and I notice that the wine glass is sort of just, the stem is right around here, and then it comes out this way, and then it kind of beautifully curves in this way, and then it comes around this way, the top of the wine glass, and it's got, it's got a decent oval. You're seeing quite a bit of oval there on the wine glass. That might be a little bit, I might need to just make the oval a little bit smaller, because I think that wine glass is kind of smaller at the top where the oval is, like that. Then it comes over this way, and then you sort of see it a little bit through the beer glass, like this. So you can kind of, but then after that you don't see it anymore. So I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to kind of, and again, this is not perfect. I'm not trying to impress everybody or make a perfect drawing. I'm just trying to, and I'm really close to the edges already. I can see I'm kind of going a little too large here, but I have to deal with that. And then here, this wine glass. What I can do is, and you can see here, this wine glass is about the tallest of all of these here over this way. Then the beer bottle is a little bit lower than the top of that wine glass there. So I want to capture that, but I want to make sure I'm underneath my actual original line here, which would be the original size of the mat. So I don't want to start having stuff go out of the picture. Does that make sense? Like, you wouldn't want to have your glass, the top of your glass or your bottle off the page out beyond, that wouldn't make sense, right? We want to have everything so we can see it. So right now that's what I'm dealing with, and I'm saying, okay, I'm pretty close to the edges I can see. I think I'll be all right. So let's come over here. I'm just going to adjust this by making this wine glass here that we're looking at right here. I'm going to try to make this just a little touch higher than this one, but not much more. And the top of this wine glass here, the oval and the top of this wine glass, if I make a straight line going down this way, I notice that it's right at the edge of this beer glass over here. So that's a good way I can judge where that needs to be. I'm even going to go over a little further. And let's do that. And I'm going to make it a little bit higher than this. So I'll do it like this. And again, have fun with this. Don't go crazy trying to worry about how perfect everything is. And now I'm just going to make this come down in like that. Like this. Okay, so this wine glass is pretty... I might erase a little bit here just to get this a little bit better. And this is the contour, or the preliminary sketch, I should say. So you want to make sure you can... We're going to go over this a second time with a contour drawing. All right, and then this is, again, I'm not going to go... Okay. We'll make the bottom of the wine glass there, and then the beer bottle's over here. So I'm going to do that. Here's the beer bottle, the top. Then there's another right there. Then it comes out. Comes down like that. Like so. Then it bumps out here and like this. It's maybe not a perfect beer bottle, but it tends to be okay, and I think it's pretty straight, doesn't taper in too much, and that's the, so I think we're okay if we do this. All right, that's plenty good enough. That's plenty good enough. All right, it's not perfect, obviously. If you're probably looking closely at my photograph, you kind of notice I didn't get everything exactly perfect, but not a big deal. And then I'm not going to draw in the handle on the mason jar right now. I don't think I need to do that. So I think you can see everything, but I'm going to draw it darker. I'm going to do a darker pencil line in just a second. I'm going to take my kneaded eraser. I think I need to just adjust the bottle a little bit here and over here. I think I should probably make this a little bit larger up top here, like that. Like that. And that looks pretty good. I think I'm not going to suffer over this, and but I think that looks halfway decent. Okay, great. So I'll just take a quick break for 2 minutes, and I'll come right back, and we'll do a darker pencil line over this so we can see it really clearly, and we want to have a darker pencil line, I think, a little bit too. It should look better with a darker pencil line, and then we're going to go over this with ink too, just in a second. All right, so let's come back in about 2 seconds. Take breaks, they're good. Hope you're going to take a few breaks once in a while. All right, we're getting started again. Let's get our contour drawing completed now. We're going to use again the darker pencil line. We did the, again, preliminary sketch first just to get everything looking pretty good, and you saw how we erased a few things here and there just to keep everything within the boundaries. And if we look at our pencil lines here, this is the actual, let's take actually the mat and use that as our gauge. So there you can see, if we drop the mat on top of this pencil drawing, you can see where everything's inside this window here. And that's the key. You have to have all your information inside the window. I know this pencil sketch is a little light. Let's do it darker a second time where we do our contour drawing, and that's when we'll... Okay, I'm going to start doing our contour drawing here. That looks pretty good. Let's see now, how did we do? And again, you can see, look at that. Perfect. We have everything within our mat frame. And that's what we wanted to accomplish. And that's why that preliminary sketch is so important. Once you have that preliminary sketch done, and again, you can erase a little bit to make sure you're kind of staying within your boundaries here. We have a little bit of room to move around if we want to. But we are in good shape. We have a good preliminary sketch and contour drawing now completed. You can always take a little bit of an eraser and erase a few lines. If you don't like that dark pencil line too much, you can always go back in and erase a few spots. Okay, and then what I'll do is, now the real fun. We're going to go over this with ink. So let's do that next. That's going to be really exciting. So what do I use? I use simple. This is a NyQuil top here. I sometimes drink NyQuil if I get a cold. So that's a NyQuil top. I save them. I save my tops from my NyQuil. Over the last 10 years or so, I have about maybe 20 of these around. Some of them are a little different. They're colored, I think blue color. But this one's clear, the old ones, the clear ones. You can buy these too, regular inkwells online on Amazon. So I have that. I have an inkwell we're going to use. Then I have my Sumi ink, and that's Yasutomo Sumi ink, black ink. It's permanent. Perfect. Once you put it onto the paper and you let it dry, you can go over it with watercolor washes, and it's not going to reactivate and smudge at all. So that's what you want. You want Sumi ink, permanent ink, and this is the perfect. This is guaranteed. Once it dries, it won't smudge on you. You can also use, I think Speedball makes black ink too. Speedball makes great permanent black ink. So these two brands that I like, Speedball or Yasutomo, great inks to use if you're doing your ink and washes. That's all you need to really remember. You can kind of see the jug here. It's got a container, and it's got the blue top and the black. And I've got half of a container left. I do a lot of ink and washes over the years. And so I'll put that over to the side, and then I use a couple of different, these are bamboo pens. So we have two of them. I have the one of these I think I got online on Amazon. And then this one I got Bill Buckman. He's a really phenomenal ink and wash expert. He does all kinds of beautiful ink paintings, ink and wash paintings. He's got DVDs out and all that. Great, great. I used to really, years ago when I started to kind of get a little bit, burned out with watercolors, I was practicing so much, so many hours and things. I needed to just do something different and change, and so this was something that helped. I'm hoping this will help you too. If you get a little burned out with watercolor, you grab some ink bamboo pens, you get your Sumi ink, and you're all set. You're just adding your Sumi ink to your ink well here. You add a little bit, maybe we'll pour in some right now. You don't have to shake or anything. You just open up the top like this. And you pour in maybe only about like a quarter of an inch on the bottom of your inkwell. That's all you need to work. And then you just have a tissue or a paper towel that you keep in your hand. And this is the only thing I would say if you're going to work with ink and wash. Please, please, please remember, cover the area that you're working in. If you have any fancy furniture or you have fancy clothes, make sure you wear maybe some old blue jeans and an old t-shirt. Don't wear fancy clothes or your good clothes that you're wearing, because if you spill this, it'll really it'll ruin your clothing. Or if you spill it on your carpet, it would ruin your carpet. So if you are working in your house and you're using, or in your studio, and you're using Sumi ink, make sure you cover everything very carefully. So I mean, like, cover the carpeting. If you have carpeting, cover it with thick coverings of maybe towels and sheets. Cover your clothes just in case it spills, because I've had it spill myself a couple times, and I think I ruin a few things once in a while, but I'm always trying to make sure I'm careful when I use my Sumi ink and my Speedball ink, the black ink, when we're doing ink and washes. So I'm hoping you'll do that too. And then so what we're going to do now is I'll probably use the Bill Buckman's bamboo pen here. And again, I have my tissue. I keep that handy. It helps to maybe dry off some of the ink off your pen sometimes. You'll have to see how, but the thing we're going to go for here is this is artistic, this is fun. You do it the way you want to. You're the artist. You make this as exciting, as different. It doesn't have to be just like mine, but the general idea we do have here is we drew our glasses and our beer bottle and they're all clear glass in our mason jar, and then we're just going to do this. We're going to go around and do the outline of everything. So I hope you will have fun with this. And I'm going to actually pretend that the light is coming from the right. So I will take my Sharpie marker here, and I'm just going to make an insignia up here. Like that. So the light's coming from the right. This way I'll leave the ink a little bit lighter on the right sides of our subject matter here. And then the darker over this way. So the darker, thicker lines are going to be over here. And this might be a thin line here for this. And have fun with this though. So here you'll see I'll kind of leave a thinner line like that. Try to get variation of lines, maybe. A couple of, again, be as creative as you like. You do not have to do it the way I'm doing it. I'm just trying to maybe get some creative juices flowing here. Maybe a couple of really nice thinner here. That. And then you can refer back to your subject matter if you want to go with a little more detail. Like for this mason jar, there's some, where the lid, there's some threads on the top, some glass threads that are on the top of the jar where the lid goes on, so you can actually, And you can see I'm making a thicker line there. Thicker line here. A little thinner there, so I'm trying to keep in mind the light's coming from this way, so the darker lines are going to be over on this side here. Like that. There's a little bit of a, you can see a little bit of the bottom of the jar here through the jar, the glass jar. It's clear, so I'm seeing a little bit of the oval down here on the bottom. Maybe the same thing too here on the bottom of the beer bottle. We'll see that little bit of a curve there. And then this here again, not too much ink on this side here. And we're really going to have incredible fun once we start painting over the top of this. You're going to see that we really going to have some fun doing the colors over the top of this. And you'll have as much fun as you like with the colors. And again, it's kind of nice to get variation of lines. So you can kind of see I'm doing thick lines on the left side and then some thinner, scratchy lines over here, like that. Maybe some shadow too. So I just dip my pen in there and just, we can use this other pen too if we like. This pen works great. We can do some shadowing like that. Okay, there's sometimes glass has those little bits of light kind of shining on them, so you can try to capture some of those if you want. That's what these lines are. Some of these lines are just kind of like indications of some light kind of reflecting off the glass, the clear glass. Maybe over here you're seeing just a tiny bit of indications of this over here, but not too much, barely visible. I think that's perfect. I hope you're going to really have fun getting this ink on your paper. Look at how much fun this is, and it's kind of easy, right? We got that drawing done with the pencil. Once you get that pencil drawing done, you're home free. Then you're just having fun getting some ink over the top of it. You're just basically tracing over the top of your pencil drawing with your ink. And then if you have extra ink left over, maybe what I'll do first though too, I want to do a couple splashes here. So I'm going to do a couple of these splashes, just a little bit here and there, not too many, just a few. Give it a little bit of an artistic flair. And that should be good. And we'll do some splashing too with our watercolor. And then if you can blot up if you want. But once that ink goes on there, it's pretty much, that's it. It's there to stay. And what I'll do is, I usually like to, I'll rinse off my bamboo pens and just wipe them off on a paper towel or tissue. So I rinse them off in water. And then I put them over on the side. And then I just again swish them around in water. And I just wipe them off, clean the ink off those. And then here I like to try to conserve my ink. What I do is I wouldn't do this over the top of your painting. I would do this, you know, maybe with a paper towel. But I'm kind of daring here. and I just take the ink and I pour it back into the container, the ink that I didn't use. And that's it. I put back what I don't use, and then I close up my container like that. So now we have the container closed. We poured back in what we didn't use. Then I'll take the ink here, the ink well, put a little bit of water on a paper towel, and then I just kind of give it a quick little spin around there with a paper towel. And then I grab another small piece of paper towel, and I just swish it around, and there we go. We have our inkwell ready for our next ink and wash. You see how easy this is, and I think we're ready to do some watercolor washes over the top of this. You're going to have a great time doing the washes over top. And let's take a quick break. I'll reset this up here. I won't waste your time pulling up all this paper and moving it all around. When we come back next, you'll see this paper. It's going to actually be ready with the palette next to us. We're going to use our, well, this is an Extreme Beginners series anyway. So this is an Extreme Beginners tutorial. So we're actually going to start prepping, getting our palette ready and our brushes ready so that we're ready to paint. So I'll be back in just a second. And I always remember to tell you, if you really you like this video, please thumbs it up. Always let us know here that you're enjoying the videos by putting a thumbs up down below. There's a little thumb insignia, which is thumbs up. You click the thumbs up. If you don't like it, that's okay too. You can always hit thumbs down. Then I know, if you give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, then I kind of know what you like. So if you really like this video and you like ink and wash idea, and you like to maybe work with this once in a while, I'll put a few of these on once in a while like we're doing now. And thumbs up is a perfect way to let me know, as well as putting comments in the comment section as well. If you want to subscribe, if this is your first time here, well, welcome. Welcome. If you've never been here on my channel before, thank you so much for coming by. I really appreciate it. And I just want to say, I'm really happy that you're here. You're at the right place at the right time. We cover everything watercolor on my channel here, and we do all the subject matter that you need to learn about. We do landscapes, seascapes, boat paintings, flower paintings. We do still lifes. We do portrait paintings, figure paintings. We do kind of like a little bit of everything, and we mix it up all the time. So whatever you like, you're going to finally see it after maybe 1 or 2 or 3 weeks. You'll be seeing your favorite style paintings being done here. So if you subscribe, you won't miss a thing. And then also too, I always mention that I have really hundreds and hundreds of videos in my archives on YouTube that you can always look up, and it's real simple. If you wanted to see, I've done probably 10 or 20 ink and wash videos already over the last 5 years or so. You can always just type in my name, Chris Petri, and you type in Chris Petri ink and wash, and you hit go, and then YouTube will bring up all my ink and wash videos, so you can kind of see what I've done with ink and wash over the last 5 years. And there's probably, again, 10 or 20 videos we've actually created here with ink and wash, and there's a lot of great videos on it. But I always like to always be in the present moment here on YouTube, because I know many of you don't want to really be surfing around for things. You'd rather just watch each week as we go, and that's really the way I like to work here on YouTube, is refresh. Every week we're coming back with more new videos so we can watch and all work together. And we're going to continue to do that format all the time. So I'm going to take another quick 5-second break, and then we'll get started with the painting portion here. And I always wanted to mention too, I did forget, I want to put a little bit of an indication of the table in the background here. So don't be afraid to grab a Sharpie marker. So you see I have a Sharpie marker here. Don't be afraid to grab a Sharpie marker with this type of painting. No one's ever going to kind of see this. Okay, so I'm going to kind of do this. Just to get the back of that table. Wow, does that make a big difference, right? Putting the back of the table in like that kind of makes everything feel like it's setting down upon the table. If we don't have a line there where the back of the table is, it's going to feel like everything's floating in space. We don't want that. We want to make sure we feel like this is really locked into our scene here. So that's why I'm doing that little bit of marks with my Sharpie marker. I put all my inks away, and then I realized I needed to do that. And if you wanted to, you'd take your ink back out and pour a little bit in on something and add in some ink there. But no one's going to notice that, I don't think. Okay, so I will be back in just a second. All right, let's continue on with our painting. First we have our pencil drawing, then we do our ink and wash over top. Now we have our ink on here, and you can kind of see the ink is almost 100% dry. If you have to add a little bit of blow dryer to this to dry off the ink. So you always want to remember, though, check your ink. Carefully check your ink that it's 100% dry. You can also blot up some ink. If you see some wet spots on the ink, you can lift up with that wet spot with a paper towel. If you see any spots, but you have to really look close, and you have to kind of look at different angles to kind of see if you see any wet spots. You want to make sure you're very careful with that. The best way is just use a blow dryer and blow dry the whole thing off, or you let it dry for like a couple hours, and then you have to look carefully. Before you start painting, you have to really look at everything, make sure there's no puddles of ink for the most part. You'll have better results. Maybe in the future, when you do a few more of these, then you might say, oh yeah, you know what, I don't mind having a little bit of ink kind of running. If there's a little bit of ink left that's a little bit wet, that might be okay. But really, if you start out more strictly when you first start doing ink and washes, by letting the ink dry 100% complete, without a doubt, you have to make sure you let it all dry, then you'll have much better success. And then after that, if you want to start getting a little more creative, yes, you can leave a little bit of some spots here in there. It's up to you. But that's where you start experimenting as an artist, right? You experiment with things, but you start off maybe more conservative when you first try a new technique out, or something new like this, like ink and wash. Maybe some of you, again, you're just starting out with my channel, or you're an extreme beginner, and I haven't done a lot of ink and washes so far on the extreme beginner series. So this way you kind of know, all right, yeah, I got to be a little more careful as I go with my ink and wash, so that I don't get too much wet ink left on my paper. Then when I start painting, it starts all smudging everywhere, and it looks terrible. It could look good, but again, you have to figure out that happy medium of controlling it. So that's all we really wanted to cover on that. So now, once in a while, I just introduce a new brush. I do have a mop brush here. These mop brushes are really good. I happen to get my mop brushes from Alvaro Castanet. His website has them. He has all the different sizes. This is a number 2 mop brush. These work great. Beautiful brushes. They've lasted me years and years and years, and I use them a lot, and they work great. So this is what we want for this type of painting. We want to get artistic here, and really let's get some water in our palette and start mixing some color. So I'm actually taking fresh, clean water from my water bucket and putting it into the palette here. Let's get some fresh, clean water in all of the wells. And maybe in this center well, we're using our Prang Oval 16 set watercolor palette. I'm putting a little more extra water in this center section of the palette, because this is going to be like maybe the main color here. Let's use gold. So let's get some yellow, some gold, and some orange, like that. So you'll see I'm going to try to get some orange and some gold, a little bit of red, but definitely lots of yellow, like that. That looks pretty good. Maybe I'll rinse off my brush again, and maybe I'll go up here and add just yellow up here. So we're going to mix our colors first in the palette, get what we need, and then we'll go in and do the painting quickly and efficiently, and it'll look great. So there we have a little more golden color there, a little more orangey red there, and then maybe we're going to have some blues and greens. Let's do some blues and greens down here. So we'll do some blue here, some greens, like that. So some blues and greens here, and I think, yeah, that looks pretty good. A little bit of purple too. That might be actually a perfect bit of color, just to use some yellow, gold, some orange and gold and a little bit of red, and then some blues and greens and a touch of purple. That might be fine. So what I'll do is I'll start out with the lighter wash, the lighter color or lighter tonal value, and we'll just start. And again, I'm just going to get it on there. Have fun. I'll leave maybe a little bit of white, spots of where the light is. There we go. We're just getting that beautiful paint on there. Okay, a little bit darker over there. We're looking where the light's coming this way. So we're going to leave some white paper on the sides of the glass, like that. Okay. A couple splashes. Then, and this, you can kind of see how this is really a quick process. We're not going to fuss around too much. Okay, like that. You can use some paper towel or tissue to blot up a little bit here and there if you find that there's too much water. You can do that. Then what we're going to do is let's get some orange. A little more orange there. I wanted to get some more orange there. I'm letting this stuff flow around. A couple splashes like that. And then we'll go in and get our blue on the shadow side. And that's really it. It goes quickly and beautifully. And you're not worrying about a little bit of paint going across like that. Then you can come back in with a tissue if you want, or a paper towel, and you can just lift up a few spots if you like to give it some more variation. And then if you think, oh, I gotta kick this up a notch, a little more exciting color, get some more orange in there, red. Put a couple of little beautiful touches of red and orange. Why not? A couple splashes. Blend it in. Let the paint run too. Let the paint run off a little bit if you want. Like that. That kind of looks good. That look of just free-flowing paint and washes. And that's why I said this is when you let your creative ideas come to life. And next thing you know, you find out that, wow, this can really look great, and it's a little spin-off on watercolor, the traditional way we always paint all the time on my channel. This is a great way just to kind of free yourself up a little bit. Try something new. You'll get excited by this. It'll, but you're always going to go back to your regular regime of watercolor painting and drawing and pencil drawing and watercolor painting. But if we do something like this, wow, it really can be really fun. A little bit of excitement. And again, I'll try to add a little more color. So I'll add a little more beautiful reds and oranges here and there. A couple of splashes too, like that. And I think that's it. We don't want to, I think we just want to kind of keep ourselves a little bit restrained. We don't want to just keep going over and over too much. I might have already gone overboard too much with this, but I don't think so. I think this is okay. This is, again, a tutorial. We're having fun. I might do a little background here where the table is. Like that. Just to give ourselves a little more feeling of the shadows over here by the table, the back of the table. Like that. blue, purple. Again, you can, paper towel works great if you want to lift up a little bit of puddling. You take some paper towel like this. You can always go in with some darker colors too. You can let this dry, or you can start letting it, well, let's do this. Let's let this dry a little bit for about 5 or 10 minutes, and I'm going to come back in about maybe 5 or 10 minutes. The paper's still going to be damp, and then we'll add in a few more darks. Maybe that's going to look a little better if we add in some more darks to this. I think that might really be better if we add some more darks, because we have lots of bright light with the white paper, the white highlights along here. Then we have these medium tonal values here. Let's come back in and we'll get some more greens and blues, and we'll try to get in maybe a few more darker darks along the left sides of these glasses, just a touch. I think that might look a little better. It might give it a little more excitement and a little more contrast, which is like the dark and lights of this. It is light glass, I have to admit. We're trying to capture that feeling of the light glass, but then we're getting more creative now, so we don't have to really worry about so much what we were looking at in our photograph. We're trying to make this look better, and you can kind of see maybe it's too much middle tones. We maybe need a little bit of darker color, darker paint, like that and like this over here. So that's why we'll try to get some darker washes over here on the left sides of our subject matter. Let's try that out. We'll see how it works. Again, it's an experiment. We're just having fun. We're doing a composition. We're having a great time, and we'll get back here in just a second. I just want to let this dry for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll get started again. All right, let's get back started again here. And again, we said we're going to do some blue greens. Blue and greens like this. And I'm going to go straight paint. I don't want to use much water at all, so you can kind of see I'm just using a damp brush and blues and greens here. Maybe a touch of that, but I want to stick to the same colors we used. These are the colors we started with, the blues and the greens here. I don't want to start going over here and grabbing these greens, because that's not going to harmonize with the rest of the paint. So that's why when we're using paints, you'll always hear me say harmonize your colors. And also, we always just want to remember, not a big deal, but we always try to remember, if you're going to add a new color, let's say we wanted to add a green up here to this painting, then you have to actually add it to the whole painting itself. So let's make it more simple for ourselves, and let's just stick with these 3 bluish green colors. And then we'll just sort of, let's do that. And that's all I wanted to do, was sort of kind of just amp up that blue and green. A little bit of a shadow on that side over here. There we go. And always remember, if you don't think it looks great, you're just going to be starting another one. Start another painting. If you don't like the results, don't get frustrated. You start another painting. That's all it is just a matter of trying to balance the we're trying to balance our ideas about what we're doing as an artist. As an artist, you don't worry. You say, I'm going to start another painting. I don't worry about it if a painting doesn't turn out okay. That just means we've tried something and now we're going to move to something new and different, and maybe you'll do this one again and you'll use a lot less paint. Maybe you don't like that much paint, you'll find with these type of ink and washes. I tend to want to see more colors, and that's why I'm going to go in and get more orange and like that. I want to get some more of the orange and red in there. But everybody's different. You want to try to find your place that you're happy with the way things are turning out in your painting. I want to make sure I'm kind of moving the colors around. So I want to kind of balance everything with lots of red and blue and green everywhere and orange. And I think I've captured it. All right, so I think, again, have fun with this. Enjoy. Again, if you want to subscribe, please subscribe on the right-hand side below. We're doing lots of great, exciting watercolors. We're doing variations of watercolors, which is the ink and wash, which is ink and watercolor wash at the same time. And we've had a lot of fun here on this painting, experimenting. This will look better and better as it goes. As it dries, it's going to dry a little bit lighter. But I think we do have that really beautiful dynamic of the lights and the darks all mixing and mingling on the paper to give us a real dynamic, beautiful looking painting here. And again, you can adjust how much splashing you like, how much running of your paint you like. You might like very little splashing, very little running of the ink. That's fine. Maybe I like more splashing and I like more puddling, things like that. You adjust it. You're the artist. You adjust your art the way you want it to look. But this is just the basic concept of getting in a nice pencil sketch, darker pencil line over top, contour drawing, and then you get your ink on top of that, and then you're just coming in with some beautiful Prang Oval 16 colors, and you're going to notice that it really looks beautiful as you go. And you can do some lines on here for some lights. Like that. Thanks for joining me. It's great painting with you. We're all fellow artists. We're all getting better each time we pick up our tools, our pencils, our paintbrushes, our ink, our watercolors. So we'll see you next on the next video. Excited to be here on YouTube. Thanks again for watching, and happy painting, everybody.